Time to take a deeper dive into this Leafs-Bruins first-round series with TSN radio co-host, TSN hockey analyst, all-around terrific guy, man who wears many layers at home. He's got the button-up shirt, he's got the hoodie, he's got the jacket over the hoodie. How many layers can one wear at home, Jeff?
I really don't feel at my best with this outfit. This feels like some kind of guy that hangs out at snooty places type of outfit, but it's really all I had, to be perfectly honest with you. So I hope it's okay for this segment.
I think it's perfect for this segment. And I want to talk to you about Leaf Nation and the anxiety they might be feeling facing the Boston Bruins again here, Jeff. It's funny because, you know, we looked at it, you're thinking they had a bunch of recent history. They actually haven't faced each other since 2019, which surprised me. You know, you think they'd face each other practically every year. Overall, when you heard the Leafs were facing Boston, how did you feel about it? Do you like the Leafs' chances against this Bruins team, this year's iteration of the Bruins?
Jay, it's the same thing as it would be the Florida Panthers. They're both kind of the boogeyman in their own respects, and they both pose similar challenges. They're big, nasty teams with guys that play for keeps and guys that know how to win and have a track record of winning. And one team beat them out a bunch of times, and the other team went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. So they both kind of, you know, they both bring different problems for the Maple Leafs. But I think for the Maple Leafs, I mean, year 8 or how many times they've gone to the playoffs and they won one round, I think it's just simply time for them to say, screw it, and let's just go play and work our butts off and get it done. You're looking at some of the plays from Mitch Marner here. Mitch Marner is one of the best players in the world. They all are. They're fantastic players, but they've just got to do something different to accomplish something different. And Pat Maroon said it best today for the Boston Bruins. He's like, playoffs, you find out who's got it and who doesn't. So Saturday night, we're going to see who's got it. And they've definitely got the talent. But time and time again, regular season success doesn't guarantee anything in the playoffs. It's a completely different game. We see it every year. It's a war out there. And they've got to find some way. If they think they're going to be odd man rushes and neutral zone plays available, they've got to find some kind of ground and pound game, Jay. It's not, you know what the playoffs are like, man. You got to find a way to dig deep and do something different.
You mentioned, you know, Mitch Marner, and there's a history of Mitch Marner maybe coming up a little short in terms of playoff performances, whereas William Nylander is one of the guys that we tend to not worry about in the postseason, Jeff. He usually steps up for the Leafs when it comes to the postseason, and yet lately he's struggled. At least he's struggled to score. 4 assists in his final 15 or 11 games, no goals. Are you at all concerned with him not playing well leading into the playoffs, or do you think, forget it, he's just going to ramp it up when the postseason starts?
I'm not concerned about him at all because I believe in the Bobby Mack theory where it's just like momentum starts and it can go in all different directions, but it's all a clean slate in the beginning of the playoffs. But what he's done, Jay, is he's put a spotlight on himself where it's like, well, that crappy play just led right into the playoffs where he was lazy and doing stupid things out there. And that's why it's just better off to just bust your rear end every shift because then there's no talk about this. There's no attention on it. And like I said, everyone's going to be watching. Is he going to carry through those games from Florida and Tampa? And if you really didn't want to play that much, why didn't you just tell Sheldon Keefe you don't want to play? Because that's what it certainly looked like. And I got no problem with it because the games didn't mean squat and it doesn't matter what anybody does out there. But what he's done is he's got everybody looking at him where it's like, what were you doing the last month of the season? And are you going to be a different guy come playoff time? Whereas guys that work and they're predictable, that's just like business as usual. So at the very least, this guy's put himself under the spotlight where it's like, okay, Willie, let's see what you got game 1. He's really under the spotlight. They all are, but certainly 88 is, Jay.
And I want to talk a little bit about David Pastrnak. It's funny, Jeff, this has been such an amazing regular season. You know, you have Matthews, you have Nikita Kucherov, you have McKinnon, you have McDavid as the 4 guys everyone's talking about for the Hart. Meanwhile, Artemi Panarin, David Pastrnak, any other year, those 2 guys are in the conversation. That's how great a season those 2 guys have had. And Pastrnak, 110 points, 7 points in 4 games and 4 wins over the Leafs. How do you stop a guy like this? Do you just try to put everything on him and hope that the rest of the team cannot score at the clip that Pastrnak can?
First of all, he hasn't gotten enough credit for what he's done the last couple seasons. The record-setting season last year, he's the best player on the team. You know, he drives it offensively. He scores 60 goals. He's the offensive guy in the power play. He does it all. But unfortunately, the last couple years, you're talking about McDavid having 7 million points last year, 9 this year, Kucherov, McKinnon being out of this world. This guy almost gets left in the dust. I mean, nothing's really fair in sports, but be as good as he's been for the Bruins and not really get the recognition, that's just tough sledding because all the other guys have been so good. But he torches the Leafs, Jay. I mean, this guy gets open. It seems like it's either that shot on the power play or he just skates over the blue line and rips it under the bar. He is priority number one defensively for the Toronto Maple Leafs because it just seems like he loves torching them. And he's a big game player. Nothing phases him. I mean, if you want to look at the offensive players for the Maple Leafs, there's an example right there. Nothing phases that guy. Playoffs, regular season, he just gets it done. And he finds a way to contribute. If it's not a goal, there's different ways to do it. And that's why I always talk about like some kind of different plan. Austin Matthews could run a guy over behind the net and have cause a turnover. Mitch Marner could pick it up and pass it to somebody for a goal. That's a contribution. It doesn't necessarily have to be the guy that puts it in the net. There's all different ways offensively. It could be Mitch Marner on a penalty kill, William Nylander blocking a shot at the end of the game. There's all kinds of key things you can do to contribute. And if you're just focused on, I got to score to contribute to the Maple Leafs, that's the wrong way of looking at it.
What about keeping the puck out of the net? Goaltending, obviously, massive in the postseason. You got the Bruins with their two-headed monster of Swayman and Allmark. They're hugging at the end of every game. I've never seen two goalies get along like this, Jeff. It's absolutely incredible. And then you have the Leafs, and you've got Ilya Samsonov. The season's been up and down. I guess the positive thing for Samsonov is going to the playoffs. He's played well, but where's your level of concern for the net minding for this Leafs team going into Game 1?
First off, I think the two Boston goalies secretly hate each other, Jay. I don't believe in the hugs. I don't believe they're real. Now, to the Toronto Maple Leafs goaltenders, it's one of those scenarios where you look at them going into the net and it's like, Samsonov could be unbelievable. Maybe it doesn't last and Wall goes in there. But if it doesn't work out, you're going to look back on it and say, how did you think that was ever going to work? A guy that was on waivers, he was so bad, and early in the season you had to put him on waivers and send him down. And he's had this fantastic recovery and back to the NHL, and it's kind of been up and down a lot since then. So it's like, what are you going to get? But if it doesn't work out and one of these guys can't do the job in net, you're going to be looking at that position thinking, you're going up against the Boston Bruins or Bobrovsky in Florida, and you thought that that tandem was actually going to get the job done. It's one of those things, if it doesn't work out, you're going to second-guess that all day long.
This is going to be a fun series regardless. Game 1 will be Saturday night in Boston at the Toronto Dominion Garden. Does that ever make you laugh, Jeff? The Toronto Dominion Garden in Boston? It makes me laugh all the time.
It doesn't make me laugh because the locker room attendant always had some cold beers on ice, so that was nice. I like that. I like that arena, and I like the guy that did that.
I like that too. I wish we had some cold beers on ice here. Let's work on that. Thanks. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, Jay.